y'all doing? Remember how I was playing with it when?
Yeah.
You know I ain't gonna be able to stop, right?
That's nice, man.
It's beautiful.
He must have been.
Figure out all the songs. Look.
Oh, he made
This is
that.
not the one that we saw. These are not the ones that we saw.
Oh, this is something new that he made.
I'm gonna learn how to write with it. Leave it in ink and.
Oh, I hear the theme music. All right. And good evening, family, and welcome to True Love Movement Tuesdays. This January 21st, 2020. Clear Vision here in New Orleans, Louisiana at WBOK, 12:30 a.m. Real Talk for Real Times. What's happening, Mama Fiyah?
You the host, Brother Shaq, and I am. You ain't say that part.
Oh, I'm the host, Brother Shaq, and this is Mama Fiyah.
You don't say it like that? Come on, let's do it the regular way.
All right, it's your host, Brother Shaq.
And Mama Fiyah.
Okay, dig that. 2020 vision we seeing clear, and welcome to live radio, family, right here in New Orleans on this WBOK. Man, it's a beautiful day out there. I guess that's kind of what it is. Well, right now it's kind of nice. It started off in the 40s, which is uncharacteristically low for New Orleans. And now I don't know what it is, but the sun came. The sun came to greet us, and the sun came to greet us, and I'm grateful for that. So yeah, man.
Me too. I'm still chilly. You know how I feel.
You know,
I'm always cool.
There's just so much happening, you know, here in the city of New Orleans and everywhere else. Particularly at this time of day, we know a lot of folks are getting out of school and you know, getting off from work and what have you. And you know, we're just honored that you've chosen to ride with us for this these next couple of hours on True Love Movement Tuesdays. Always feels good to be here live, you know, in the studio. And of course, shout out to our Facebook Live family that's joining us. You simply like the True Love Movement page on Facebook, and you can catch us live here in the studio. And of course, the www.wbok1230am.com, as well as the WBOK 1230 AM app that is available in Google Play, as well as the App Store, and 1230 on your AM dial if you're old school with a radio. With so many ways to connect, and again, we're honored that you have chosen to spend this time here with us. So, if I got it right, Mama Fiyah, what's happening now?
There you go. I don't know. I got something where everything needs to be perfect, or like how it usually goes in order for me to feel right. I don't know. It's weird. It may be a reaction to like trauma or like PTSD or something, or maybe I'm just, you know. But it's just when it doesn't happen right, I feel like I ain't falling in line. I ain't falling into place.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. That'll be a great segue sometime down the line, because that talks a lot about what today's show is actually about, Mama Fiyah. So I know that even
so
that,
like freaking out with this
like
mic.
Said, even that's
mic.
a little bit different, right? Mama Fiyah's got a new mic, family, so she's got a little bit of an adjustment.
Yes, I do.
To make, but nothing that can't be done.
So it's been a great day. It's been a busy day, a really busy Tuesday. I'm literally coming off the heels of seeing one of my sisters running in and let's get this done. And I was gifted this beautiful wand.
Tell us about the wand, Mama Fiyah.
I just want to tell everybody about this wand. So my brother, Mark Williams III, he was the person who created the album cover for Late Bloomer.
Yes, he did.
And shout out to everybody who came out on Friday.
Yeah, let's talk about that for sure.
To the Late Bloomer album release party. And it was very lovely and very well attended. We had a great time. Everybody was excited to be there. I'm so glad everybody came out on a Friday. You know, Friday is
New Orleans, a big Friday, on a big time
Friday. Everybody came out. And so after that, I had left because I had a busy day. I actually worked that day and everything. And my beautiful sisters and brother, Kendor, Angela Gordon, and Brian Foy put money together to get me this beautiful wine made by Mark Williams.
Look at that, man.
And it has stones in it. It's wrapped in copper. It has beautiful stones. I think that's a quartz. I'm not sure what this is. I can't wait to see what it is. But it also has a beautiful flower on it.
Beautiful flower.
And so I just feel it's got a little handle on it.
Yeah.
I mean, and we had a meeting with Mark.
We sure did.
Last Tuesday. We had a meeting with Mark a week ago today, and he had these ones.
He sure did.
And I picked them up, and I was like,
right.
excited about them, never thinking that I would have one or anything. Right. So they didn't know that. When they saw it, they were like, oh yeah, this is Mama Fiyah. It's got a flower on it. So shout out to everyone who came through, but also shout out to my family, my sisters, and my brother Brian, who thought so much of me to get me a wand.
That's right.
And it's beautifully crafted.
That's right. I remember the brother was telling the story. He says he got the twigs from his backyard.
From his backyard. He's got moss from, he said the tree of the living or something like that.
Yeah, the living tree.
The living tree. And it's just beautiful. It's well made, and you think I ain't gonna use it?
That's right, Mama Fiyah.
Yes.
It sounds like it's just like you. It's well made.
Come on, Brother Shaq. You better tell the truth on this air.
Well made, but yeah, that album release, family. If you came out, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Shout out to our brother Matthew Rosenbeck over at ArtSpace 3116. He actually celebrated a birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
So happy belated birthday to that brother, and gratitude again for the space. If you really want to do something and you want to do something at a different venue than you're accustomed, don't forget about ArtSpace 3116, located.
Please don't. It's beautiful
At 3116 St. Claude. That area is coming back.
Revitalized.
It's being revitalized or gentrified or some kind of fied, but we still in there, and it's a good place to do all kinds of things. We've used it.
We used it for Women Manifest, which ended up being beautiful because we used the whole space as well as like the kitchen. At the time, it had a kitchen area, and then even the back outside space. Yeah. And then it was perfect for the album release party. So if you're interested in using like a big beautiful art space that has art all over the walls,
that's right.
It's so beautifully decorated. You definitely wanna check out ArtSpace.
That's right.
3116.
And it was also featured in, what was T. Rose's movie's name? Remember?
The Nollywood movie?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but it was so good.
It was good, but they did some shots in ArtSpace.
They sure did.
It was part of that movie. So I'll get that information. I might be able to look that up while we're on the air. But I'm so proud of you, because you showed up and showed out.
Well, I had a very good time. I needed my wand at that time. I definitely did. See, I will always use my wand, though, because I had a moment where my throat was kind of acting up, and so all I had to do was kind of like...
If you'd have had the wand.
But I was able to push through.
You sure did.
Shout out to the band. Shout out to the Free Souls. Because they're loud and proud,
That's right? That's right.
So shout out to the Free Souls. Shout out to Kendor. She came and rocked the mic. Shout out to Nicole Deggins, who also rocked the mic. We had a beautiful time, y'all. Shout out to Angela Gordon and her family, Tanuki, for being there, for distributing, but also like being there to capture the moments on video.
Right.
And shout out to brother Eric, who showed up from the VOK.
Long time True Love Movement supporter right there. Family.
Yes. And everybody who came through, just on the strength of it being True Love Movement, Love Movement production, being on the strength of that. But we had such a ball. We had so much fun. Thank you, Brother Shaq, of course, for always being there, ready, willing, able to support True Love Movement and what we produce, True Love Movement produces. And we produce, many things. Listen. Yes, True Love Movement is a grassroots organization because we believe in community work. We believe in that doing for self. Independence and doing for self. So, but we have many products to get to know what the stance and what the mission of True Love Movement is. The scope of True Love Movement. That's right.
Dig that. Yeah. It would leave it to you to have an album release party with a live band. That was something. That was something. Family. It was. I don't know if you've ever been to any album releases, but generally they're standard. They play the album. They go through each track. The performers and the artists may talk about the tracks and different kind of things. But you had a live band.
Sure did.
At your album release party.
I had the Free Souls.
The Free Souls.
Yes. And we talked about, we really envisioned what Late Bloomer could do. We really envisioned what Fire Like Ayana can do, what True Love Movement can do, and what the Free Souls can do. Mm-hmm. We talked about tours, and we talked about moving this thing. Mm-hmm. Where it needs to go, we can spread the message as thick as we need to spread it, as much as it's needed on this planet.
I've been around a long time. I remember you was talking about Fire and the Free Souls, like
Mama Fiyah and the Free Souls.
But even before Black Star.
Before Black Star.
Even before Black Star, you had that idea about having a live band.
Well, Black Star
called it that.
Fire and the Free Souls, Mama Fiyah and the Free Souls. The Black Star was a manifestation of that idea, of that understanding. It took us a while to kind of come together where they know me. Blake, who plays the keys, Tank, who plays the drums, Nation, who plays the bass, and remember Elvis, who played the electric guitar.
Yeah, I remember Elvis.
They needed. We learned how to learn each other. You know what I'm saying? And so when we manifest things, and sisters, when we will manifest things, because that will manifest has everything to do with your womb.
That's right.
And when we put things in our wombs, it may not take 9 months to manifest. It may not take 2 years to manifest. It may take a decade to manifest, because sometimes our dreams are just that audacious.
That's right. And you can have a quantum experience, quantum leap.
That's right.
Just like that. Boom.
Boom.
So I want to also shout out our brother Greg Barabino. He came out to the
he sure did. He's always
all
so
the way
supportive.
from Hancock County, Mississippi, in the Waveland Bay, St. Louis area on Friday, as he was pulling off 6 MLK weekend events. He on the heels of that, he still took a trip to come to support True Love Movement.
He sure did. Thank you to that brother so much for supporting True Love Movement always.
So I definitely shout him out. And then we had a chance to go out yesterday for Martin Luther King Day at the Studio Waveland.
Yes, we did.
That was his final, I guess, culminating event over there, and got a chance to build with the family out there, and had a really good time. Shout out to we had J-Locks.
J-Locks.
New Orleans on J-Locks and Lolly Mariah.
In which he met at a True Love Movement production.
That's important too. Yeah, he met that at Free to Speak, good old Free to Speak over there at the by the Israels.
And both of those sisters showed up for our fundraiser for the Neo Jazz School of Music.
That's
and
right.
so they got a bonus with being exposed to Mississippi now.
That's right.
Now they got fans in Mississippi that love them and want them to perform.
Yeah, even Lolly got a drop on the air from the they did some news coverage.
Yeah.
And he sent that to me maybe about an hour ago, and so there's a part there where she's talking and her name's up there in the news.
Nice.
It's like a little partial interview, so it's just how it works when you work together.
That's right. When you do for self.
Right on.
Yeah. So you did a great job. In I don't want to call it a speech, because it was so much more than that.
Oh yeah.
It was in facilitation. It's what it was of what community leadership can look like, and what just community healing discussions can look like.
Right.
True Love Movement has coined community healing. And discussions together when we're together, analysis. We decided to call it so many different things, but the center is on healing.
That's right.
And doing for self. So Brother Shaq facilitated a conversation between the leaders in that community. And just hearing them talk about what is needed. Like, somebody from the outside can't come tell somebody from the inside what's needed.
That's right.
We gotta kind of stop ourselves from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
That's been what we've done.
Yep.
And it hasn't gotten us anywhere.
No.
It's been what we've done to say, we need such and such. It takes
Right.
maybe a smarter person or maybe a lighter skinned person.
Right.
I mean, listen, a lot of different things. Somebody with some degrees behind
That's
in
right.
there
That's
to
right.
tell a community what a community needs. A community is, we trust the process that a community knows what it needs.
Nobody could know better.
Yeah.
Nobody could know better, you know. And so, yeah, that's what I said to them. I thought, you know, I would never do that. That's disrespectful. I don't do that. You know, I would never come tell somebody what to do in their house and where they live, especially since, you know, don't even know the story, you know.
Yep.
But that's a great segue. I mean, everything that you said, Mama Fiyah, just so our listeners, and again, shout out to our WBOK 1230 and loyal listeners. You know, we're into year number 7 here on WBOK. Very courageous radio station to have programming such as ours and others who are not afraid to engage some of the uncomfortable and less familiar aspects of our experience here in America, and particularly in New Orleans. But you know, everything that you've said though has been so much about the topic, even before we got on the air. Today's topic, and we're gonna segue, kind of continuing what, and Mama Fiyah didn't give it away, but what we talked about yesterday, and what I brought to them on Martin Luther King Day was the theme that our brother Greg Barabino had essentially was that we can no longer wait on someone, we must do for ourselves. And you know, when I said that, everybody kind of nodded their head, they clapped, and they agreed. And so I guess there's not a lot of resistance on that. So you would think that when that kind of thing is said, that there's maybe a consensus that we just need to sit down and be cool and somebody gonna make it all right. But apparently that's really not what our people are thinking. That's not the pervasive thought that we need to sit and wait. But something still is preventing us from moving forward as a collective. And so I took the opportunity to look at solutions to that. And you have talked about several key solutions just in our opening here on True Love Movement Tuesdays this January 21st, 2020. You know, Mama Fiyah, because you started off with that wand. You know, the wand, and you told the story about the wand. You know, and if you got the Facebook Live up, family, you can see this wand made by Mark Williams, who is a brilliant brother. And you know, there was a week ago today, because I want to deal with real stuff in real time. She's pointing at the beautiful flower, which is exactly what her name means. Ayana means beautiful flower, and she's got a good handle on that wand, family. Let me tell you, if ever there was someone who knew how to wield the wand, it would certainly be Mama Fiyah, and I can say that I know personally. But the wand and what the wand represents in terms of creation, and you know, you talked about how, like, it was a week ago today that you first encountered that wand, a wand like that, and you said, man, I like that wand, right? Because I remember you talked about it, you picked it, there were several of them, but you were drawn more to one than the other, and the only people who knew that were you, me, and Mark.
Yep.
Because we were the only people there having the conversation. And then on Friday, the three other people who were not there and part of that conversation get you a wand.
They chose that wand for me. They chose the wand for me.
They chose a wand for you. And so, family, that's not what we would call a coincidence. Not at all a coincidence. That was a more of a programming, if you will. Because, you know, when you put certain energy out, it'll return to you.
Yes, it will.
It really, really will. And that is really proof. Now, I understand some people may say, well, Brother Shaq, that just sounds like some kind of coincidence. But it could have been anything. They could have got you anything. Anything. Right? Or nothing.
Nothing. I surely wasn't expecting it.
Right. You never put that out there on a wish list or anything like that. Not but you put it in the atmosphere.
Yeah. And
it was you know, it was gifted to you. But you know, you said that, and then you also talked about the free souls, Mama Fiyah, you know, Fiyah and the free souls, and I was reminded when you said that even before the Black Star thing came together, you had told me
yes
that I want to do hip hop to a live band, and I want to travel, and I already got a name. It's going to be Fiyah and the Free Souls, because her whole theme has always been about being free.
Yeah.
And so it was Fiyah and the Free Soul. I remember that predated Black Star. And so, you know, the Free Souls, Fiyah and the Free Souls were at the album release.
Yeah.
And that is not a coincidence either. Not at all a coincidence. And so these are just two things, and there's 2 million of them that I could name, but these just happen, or seemingly happen, because you believe that it could, because you really put some serious intention and consciousness on stuff, right? I mean, that's what you did, right?
Yeah.
You didn't wish it could happen. You willed it to happen. And there was another thing too that you said when we first opened up about, the microphone. You were saying you had me go back and do the opening again because I didn't do it the way I normally did it. And that was because we had some behind the scenes technical stuff that really wasn't problematic, but just a little bit distracting. And so that distraction also distracted me. And so I didn't do it the way I normally did it. And you pointed that out because, like you said, if it don't happen how it's supposed to happen, it kind of throws you off.
Yes,
right?
it does.
And I think we can all kind of attest to that if we think about it. And everything that I'm talking about, family, is today's topic. We're talking about rituals, how things get done. Today's topic again is rituals, how things get done, which essentially was what I brought out to Waveland, Mississippi yesterday, to really talk about rituals as a solution to these what seems like very different problems where, you know, we're seeing a deficit. We're seeing things from a standpoint of lack. And I have personal experience and personal knowledge that rituals will produce for you what you will them to, if in fact you do the ritual.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. And so just give us a couple of minutes to talk about rituals, because people think you're talking about voodoo, or people think you're talking about devil worship or something when you talk about rituals, because we are, you know, in our society, we are navigated toward Christianity. I mean, if we think about Protestants and all of these things and how America was founded, it's oriented, not navigated, but oriented toward being Christian, you know, Christianity. And so anything that is Christian, you know, is anti-traditional African or anti-indigenous. You know what I'm saying? Anti-indigenous. And so they you know, say that anything that isn't Christian is wrong.
There you go. That's
anything
right.
that isn't Christian is wrong, or it's evil, or whatever the case may be. So I'd like for you to talk about ritual the way you talked about it yesterday in Mississippi. Definitely.
And so, yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Mama Fiyah, because you're depending on who the audience is when you talk about, when we raise something like rituals, there could be all kinds of different reactions. But I was delighted yesterday when I said rituals. The first thing someone said was they talked about church.
Yeah.
And so what they acknowledged was that there are many rituals in churches. And in fact they are. And for a long time I think there was a little bit of disconnect in that, because the pervasive thought was what you described, that rituals were part of the Vodun tradition or part of some other kind of a thing, and churches were, you know, Christianity was this other thing. But in fact, the whole going to church is a ritual, and everything that happens inside of the church service is a ritual, you know. And so people were very clear about that. I didn't have to get into that. They were explaining, which is the way I like it to go.
Yeah.
And so at any rate, the first thing, and then someone else said, you know, trying to define rituals, essentially just said a series of actions that are a type of behavior that is regularly followed by someone. That's all it is. It's just something that you do, you know, very, very regularly, but you're serious about it. You're doing it in a very conscious way, which is what separates a ritual from a routine.
Yeah.
See, a routine could be how you know, brushing your teeth in the morning. That's something you do every day, hopefully. Washing your face.
Don't like people in New Orleans say take a bath.
Yeah, take a bath. You know, that's a routine.
Take a bath.
You know, that's a routine. Picking out your clothes or whatever. That's a routine. However, there can be a very ritualistic way you go about those things. And to what you said earlier, like if you don't, because that was a real thing about the whole ritual piece. What happens when you don't do the ritual? You know, and like you said, you feel a little bit thrown off. You feel, you know, it's not, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not, something's not right. You feel not right, and perhaps the rest of the things that happen after that won't go right.
Yeah. You know what helps me think about the difference between routine and ritual is that rituals are sacred.
Right.
Rituals are sacred. Your routine can become a ritual when it becomes sacred, meaning you put the time in and you have the intention of the goal.
Right.
For the difference between routines and rituals, and you know, either we want to know that this is helping,
That's
and there is a goal and it is working.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, what my experience has been, and I would love to hear some of your rituals that you work with, but I was just thinking in terms of just rituals in general, and in my own experience, when we do those rituals over and over, they form a groove. And that groove becomes a pattern, and then things begin to happen automatically. So we have the opportunity to create the reality we want through the rituals, because we do them in such a way, in such a very intentional and conscious way, and we do them again and again, and it does actually, in fact, produce a different result, a different outcome because of that groove.
Yes.
And so, what are some of your rituals that have produced? Because it's not just about having the rituals. Obviously, what's the ritual, and what has it produced for you?
Well, I have a morning ritual, and my morning ritual is very, very important to the work that I do every day with my sisters, because the work that I do is, man, it's tough. It's tough because I'm an empath. Empath is someone who feels very deeply, and so if I would do this work without my morning ritual to remind myself that I am well, that I am protected, that I am healed, I don't know where I would be, listening to these type of stories, you know. And one of these days, I think I'm going to write a book, in confidence, in confidentiality, maybe a fiction type of book, but about all of the different stories that I hear all the time. And so my morning ritual consists of me remembering myself, like remembering myself, my mission, why it's important for me to take care of myself, remembering also the fact that I'm still healing. And so it includes deep breathing and thanks for the breath in my body and the breath of life. It involves holding myself, being a survivor of early childhood traumas, and then stretching my body in thanks for the movement that's happening, the true love movement that's happening in the day, and then it also includes self-care as well as making my tea every day. But my morning ritual reminds me every day that I am here, I am protected, I am well, and I'm doing a mighty work.
That's right.
Every day. And so I don't miss. I don't miss. I don't even want to know what would happen if I did miss.
Right.
Yeah, I don't miss. And I do it all for me, all in self-care, so that I can go and help as many people as I possibly can.
Right on, right on. That was a great description of a ritual that produces, like you said, it positions you to be able to do the work you're here to do.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And so, I wasn't looking for a bad story about what happens if you don't do the ritual, but just an acknowledgement of how we grow into the ritual, and it becomes a part of the thing that we need to do.
Yeah.
It's not even a matter of I'm just casually choosing. But I would definitely like to shout out our Facebook Live family. We have Ari Miller that has joined us.
All right.
We got our Mammies has joined us. Hundesta Pierre has joined us.
Yeah, the honorable
Honorable Desta Pierre. We got Mark Williams that we've been talking about that. So maybe that was part of the ritual right there. You know what I'm saying? If you call the brother's name, we talk about his work, he will appear.
He shows up.
And so
shout out to this wine.
Shout out to the
wine.
The magic wine.
Yeah. And I'm always telling people it's kind of like a ritual to tell people, you know, I don't have a magic wine.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And now I actually do. But guess who the magic wine for? It's for me.
Right on. Right on. So yeah, shout out to everybody who's joined us on Facebook Live and everybody who's listening, you know, in the car on the way home or you know, at home or wherever you may be at work still, and those who are sharing the show with people they respect. Because this whole thing about rituals is very, very serious because it is a ancient technology.
Yeah.
This is an ancient technology, and I'm saying that because it's ours. You know, those of us who are melanated people, who are the indigenous people to the planet, who have been on this planet longer than anyone else is. We understand intuitively in ways that we may or may not articulate the power of rituals, and that we don't necessarily talk about it, you know what I mean, because it is just so much a part of us. And even though there have been all kinds of stigmas placed on rituals that happen, say, outside of religious circumstances, people are still doing it, you know, and they're doing it in a very, sometimes they're doing it in an unconscious way. But, you know, when you say, I just don't feel right because I didn't do this, that, and the third, that, in fact, is the ritual, and you know that there's power in that. And that power isn't the power outside of you, but rather an expression, a divine expression of the power inside of you.
Yeah.
So
beautiful. And when you brought that up, even though it seemed to be a major elderly part of the community that was there yesterday at the MLK event that Greg Barabino put on in collaboration with the NAACP. It seemed like it was a lot of elders, but they also didn't seem taken aback by this conversation about rituals either.
No, I noticed that.
Yeah.
I noticed that. And that's worth mentioning because of the receptiveness. And I think people, that's the beautiful part, I think, about as the consciousness is raising, you know, people are able to we're able to come back to ourselves.
Yes, we are.
You know, and that's where we're seeing the power from that.
Remembering. That's right.
We're seeing the power in that. And and anytime elders are present, you know, I love to listen because the elders have the history.
Yes, they do.
You know, the elders have the history, and many of us who may not be elders or elderly, you know, we kind of go through periods in our lives, particularly when we're younger, that we think people who are older don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? That we don't want to hear nothing they got to say. We say that they had their time, they did their thing, now they need to move out of the way. But, you know, elders offer a whole lot, and as my grandmother would say, you know, just keep living. You know, if you live long enough, you too may become an elder, a wise elder, and you'll be able to know the value of time.
Yes.
You know. Your
grandmother was, she is an absolute angel.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, giving thanks.
Yeah,
Rising power queen.
Yes, shout out to my gatekeeper. She's my gatekeeping ancestor. She's the one all the other ancestors still have to go through.
I love it.
Right on, man. Right on. But yeah, the idea of ritual and then, you know, and speaking of that, so that's part of one of my rituals that I'm doing and have been doing for a little bit, but I really, really love it. It really has shaped the way my days goes. I spend time at my ancestral shrine, and she's one of the folks that I reflect on. You know, in the mornings, I get up early enough to make time to do that, and I literally feel amazing going through that process. After that, sometimes I may even do some yoga in conjunction with that right there at the shrine, or I just may sit and listen. I'll think about some things. I've got a little journal I keep there where I write down some things if something comes to me. But I take that bit of time after while I'm sipping my tea, because you got me on that ritual too. And that's kind of like a part of it. And occasionally, it's only happened maybe once or twice, I didn't quite have the time to do that, and I really missed it. I had a longing for it. I went through the day, but I didn't feel as charged up or as powerful as I normally do, and it was because there was a deviation. There was a deviation from a ritual, and I didn't feel there was nothing weak about that. Matter of fact, I felt that was a strong thing, Mama Fiyah, which you say.
Definitely. Just a reminder that it's needed for settling into the day, and also remembrance of where you come from, that you are their legacy.
That's right.
You are their legacy. And so what better than to let them know, and provide a ritual just to remember. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Definitely. One of the things that and we wanted to get to yesterday that didn't happen fully because from a ritual standpoint, and we know you mentioned earlier how True Love Movement, we've operated with some really, I think, significant, Mama Fiyah, community healing conversations, over the years, and been well attended with, many people. Part of the rituals that happen that I think we've discovered is that many people are not listened to. Generally, they're not really listened to, and everybody who is listening now, who's listening to us, we're grateful for that. But I would ask you to, and for those watching as well, to think about and just see if you could name maybe 10 people that you listen to. I mean, really listen to, not just respond to, but listen to the words they're saying, listen to how they're saying it, listen, feel their energy. That really, really listen and pay very close and careful attention to their every word. And I would challenge you to find 10 people that you do that with on a regular basis. Because that's what we find, that most people are just not being listened to.
And what about just listening?
Yeah.
A lot of time we listen and they say something and we already have in our mind what we think and what we're going to say back, instead of just listening and waiting and asking for if somebody wants feedback or if they want you to say something, but just listening too. There's value in just listening instead of waiting to say something.
Right.
Because when you're waiting to say something, you're not listening. You're not listening. You haven't heard all what needs to be said first before you formulate an opinion.
That's right.
And what you want to say back and give advice. And this is why something like counseling and coaching is even needed. I think about counseling. It's like, really, it's the art of listening. It's the art of listening and gathering up some information and really reflecting and letting the person come up with, after giving maybe some suggestions or some thoughts, let the person come up with what they're going to do, what they can do, what's in their realm of doing.
That's right.
And so the reason why our society needs counselors and needs people is because no one listens. No one listens.
No one listens. And in everyone's defense, to us not listening or not having the habit or even developing the skill, cultivating the skill of good listening or good listenership, is all of the things that are in our heads. We've got so much noise and so much traffic that's in our heads. And someone's putting it there, so I don't want to just act as though we're just walking around full like that. But all of the noise and the traffic that are in our heads, it drowns out our voice. And so we don't value or spend enough time reflecting, because it's very hard for us to hear ourselves. You know how some of the old people say, "You're so loud I can't even hear myself think." Like there's something about what's happening outside of you that can impact your ability, your cognitive functioning. And so the whole idea of talking to someone, the actual act of talking out loud to someone kind of goes around all the noise that's in your head. But because they got noise in their head, they don't want to listen or can't listen or whatever the case is. So it ends up not being a very good, fair exchange. And so what we have found from a ritualistic standpoint with regard to the way we've held community conversations is that, people that come to community meetings or community gatherings who are not listened to seize the moment for a captive audience to express themselves and express all manner of things that may be far off topic, but yet they have people who are there listening to them, and they really, really, really need to have that experience. So we could probably reduce a lot of that if we would just kind of practice listening in our everyday lives and experiences, and that's really difficult. That is difficult. So I'm saying that it is difficult to listen to people, particularly when you feel like you've not being heard.
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking that very thing. We wanted to ask how many people you listening to, but how many people listening to you?
Right. That's right. That's right. So what we're doing is we're acknowledging, too, why things are the way that they are. We're not simply saying that, it's just messed up and we got problems. The sister, Mary Malone Williams, says you have to listen as well as hear what is said. Charlita has joined us. Ginger Lassane has joined us.
Hey, Mary. That's my sister Mary.
Yeah.
Giving thanks for her presence today on the Facebook Live.
Right on, right on. We got Ronika. She has also joined in.
All right. That's my sister. 1/3 of the gift givers of this magic wand. Giving thanks for this wand.
That's right. And if y'all like this wand that Mama Fiyah is showing to the camera on the Facebook Live, the brother Mark Williams is on the feed right now. He's joined us live. If you're interested, reach out to him, and you too could get a wand custom made. Hers has a beautiful flower on it. The brother is really, really brilliant, because as well as he does that, he has done, you should say, he designed the album artwork for Late Bloomer.
Yes.
And he's also working on the cover for Resolving Rape Culture, which will be coming out next month. So we've got a developing and long-standing relationship with the brother, but he's as good digitally as he is with his hands on this craftsmanship.
He's a creator.
He is a creator all day. Give thanks for that, brother.
Yeah, I think, bringing back the rituals, Brother Shaq, I think you're so right about why they're so important to us. And I love that you're offering it up as a solution.
Yeah. I think rituals, consciously, they will produce a different result because they're all about our behavior. It's all about the repetition and action, and we're programming it. The ritual, your ritual is whatever you say it is. So you know exactly what you need, how you need, when you need it, and where you need it. And so taking your feelings and thoughts and then giving them physical form and working them into a process, because and I want to shift the conversation, Mama Fiyah, not shift it away from what we're saying, but more expand it, because what rituals are feminine processes. Rituals are processes. Rituals are not an event. And you were talking earlier when we opened up, even before we got into the topic, about womb work and putting things and ideas and concepts and thoughts and hopes and dreams into your womb and birthing those. And that whole ritual and the actual doing of that is a ritual. But the concept of it is such because it is a process.
Yes, it is.
It is would you say more about the process part of rituals, and that's what makes them effective and powerful, is that it's not a simple do this one thing and it's done, but how that unfolds in much the way that a baby is first conceived and then brought out on the other side.
It's like the ritual itself is so important because it takes the time that it does, and you're making it sacred by doing it on a regular basis and in this very meticulous and important way. Like you think of a baby being created in the mother's womb. that it's a very meticulous process. You know, where does the hair come from? Where do the nails come from? Where do, you know, the eyes and the irises and the pores of the skin and the, you know, the little tiny hairs, and, you know, where does all of this come from?
Right.
It comes from, you know, the creation process, that a woman, it's pulled from her and the dynamic womb to create a whole human life. And rituals are like that too. You're creating something.
That's right.
You have a goal, you know? Rituals are sacred because they have an actual goal.
That's
and it's
right.
an intention and a goal. And Brother Shaq, you always talk about how events are masculine.
That's right.
And when you're creating a baby, all the man needs to do is one thing.
That's right.
The only thing he needs to do is one thing, and the woman does all the rest.
That's right.
With what he's given her.
That's right.
You know,
We
and
ain't
so
minimizing the one thing.
right, no,
it
no,
can't
not
happen
at all.
without the one
without
thing.
him, and not at all. But it's an event.
It's an event.
And that's masculine, and the woman does the process.
That's right.
Usually, and so rituals for men are important too, because because there's a process to it.
That's
because
right.
you have to take your time with intention and sacredness and create something, create a goal. And I think that's, you know, sometimes the goal is just peace, like
Right.
peace of mind. And I know we don't like to use that word so much, but let's say the goal is serenity. The goal is saying that I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this, you know, in honor of my ancestors, or in honor of remembering that I'm safe and protected, in honor of those things. And it's a very feminine like thing, but very beautiful and purposeful.
That's right. I was thinking when you said feminine, I was thinking about feminine energy.
Yeah.
And that for men to effectively evolve rituals and construct rituals, they have to draw from their feminine energy to do that.
Yes.
And I'll say it again, because that's what I said, that, you know, men do have feminine energy. We are masculine and feminine. We have feminine energy. In order to cultivate a ritual that will produce this process for you, you have to draw on the feminine energy that you have to produce it. And if you are, to the degree that you are able to do that, has everything to do with what you achieving your goals. I want to just kind of line it up like that. So brothers, if you're having some difficulty with achieving some goals on your own, perhaps it's because it's an unbalanced approach. You know, and so see, that's what I'm saying. This is a little more expansive on the conversation. And then if you're still having a challenge, or even if there's a little bit of a hesitation or confusion about what I'm saying, that also can be telling, Mama Fiyah, because in the way, and I'm generalizing, and of course it's throughout the book, but I talk about that, because the divine feminine is something that we have been socialized into internalizing the idea that she is less than or inferior. The suggestion that you have to draw on feminine energy is an acknowledgement that you have it, and that you have a part of you that is inferior and less than, which then puts you in direct conflict with trying to utilize that aspect of yourself to produce something that you want. So that could be very problematic, not because it won't work, but because of whatever our internalized notions are about, you know, the validity and the power and the necessity of feminine energy and our connection to it. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to raise that up too, because it does require a certain drawing on that to produce and cultivate a ritual. Mm-hmm. Because as a man, I don't think about, I've only begun thinking about that in my 30s and 40s about processes in a way that wasn't cumbersome. Like I had that aversion to something, just like we all socialize to. If it takes a while, I don't want it. Mm-hmm. It ain't valuable. If I can get it right now, let's do it. Mm-hmm. And that, again, that didn't start in my 30s and 40s. It only has eased a little bit because I better understand the value and the nature of processes and just the truth of processes. Because nothing really is an event. Because even what the man does during conception, it ends up being an event, but there are all kinds of other things that happen before that event in terms of a process. So nothing happens without process, but how we're oriented to process has everything to do with how well we could connect and utilize process to bring forth the things that we want.
Well, I'm interested in hearing how are rituals the solution, because what we're looking for, True Love Movement, is bringing solutions to our problems, or quote unquote our challenges, and we are looking for solutions, and True Love Movement has done so many different shows on skills and tools that we can use for personal growth, and we know that's important for collective growth, that a personal growth has to happen first before collective growth can even happen. Personal growth needs to happen before you even realize collective growth can happen.
That's right.
So I'm interested in hearing about rituals as solutions to the problems that our collective, our people struggle from.
I mean, wouldn't that be live if we had the technology already to solve those problems?
Oh yeah.
I mean, wouldn't it be so live that we didn't have to go somewhere or order it online or ask someone outside of our community or our village or our family?
Or vote for it.
Or voted into existence. So, I mean, wouldn't that be, I mean, just thinking about that, it excites me, Mama Fiyah, because, the one thing, and that was one of the things that we did settle on yesterday, was that, and it's an organizing principle that I think no group that I'm aware of has made more prominent and more real and more consistent than the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond, but that the work, the real work that is done with people, for people, and for ourselves is the actual helping people gain a sense of their own power. That is like the real work, because it's everlasting at that point. It doesn't create a codependent situation. And the more people do, the more they're able to do, the more they want to do, and then the more they affect and influence other people. So when we get back from our on the other side of the break, we can really dig into some solutions. And I'd love to hear from our listeners about some of their rituals. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people listening got rituals that are formalized, and some that aren't so formalized. And the benefit of hearing about the rituals of others is because, in many, many ways, we are all suffering from very similar woes. And there may be a brother or sister here in the community or beyond that has been having some success with solving some problems through rituals. Or you may hear something that resonates with you. So we would invite you to get ready to share on the other side of the break. On True Love Movement Tuesdays here this January 21st, 2020, here on WBOK 1230 AM, Real Talk for Real Times, and Brother Shaq.
And Mama Fiyah.
Y'all come on back after the break. Wholeness. All right, so we got some family joining here.
All
Mama Fiyah. You got Cabria, Cece joining.
Hey Cece.
Gran has joined.
Hey Gran. Y'all check out my wine.
Look at the wine. The magic wine.
And for an album release, I think people were asking me, what am I going to give to the crowd? And what am I going to do this and that? And listen,
what are you going to
it
give
wasn't
to the crowd?
give something that says you came to the album release or something like that, I guess.
You gave it to him.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying, and none of that was important because none of it mattered.
Right.
None of it mattered, and that what did matter was that people who loved me thought of me and said that I deserved something for being there, for putting it out there, and I was able to receive something that I had admired and nobody knew.
That's right.
So great.
That's right. Shout out to that brother Mark Williams again for the magic wand.
Yes.
That's really live, Mama Fiyah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Me
I liked
too.
it when he did it. I had never seen anything like that.
Nothing.
I never even thought of anything like that, let alone seen it. You know, and I'm also I'm proud of that brother because I didn't even think that was a part of what he was offering. You know what I'm saying? Like we know about all the other stuff he does. No, that's not true. We know about some of the other stuff he does.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man. Yeah, Facebook Live family has been hanging in there with some comments. I tell strangers or anyone at random moments something uniquely beautiful about them that I most appreciate. It creates authentic joy. That's a pretty good skill, huh? Charlita. Ha! What's happening, Mama Charlita?
Yeah. And so, you know, if you don't want to call in the solution line, maybe you can just put into the Facebook thread about your rituals.
That's
and
right.
why they are solutions, how they are solutions in your own life. Because what we don't need to do is do mindless rituals.
That's right.
You know, mindless things just because people said you should or whatever the case may be. What I've learned is that you create your own and you create it just the way that you need it, and that's good. You know, if you do any type of spiritual work.
That's right.
And like, Brother Shaq, that's what you're talking about, right?
Oh yeah.
Are you talking about spiritual rituals or just rituals that? I mean, they're all spiritual.
They're all spiritual. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not making any distinction in that because what you just said. I said it earlier, but I think we're gonna start off there.
Yeah.
Just to restate it, because the mindless ritual essentially is a routine.
I don't know.
Well, I say mindless ritual is a routine because we're not. If it's lacking the consciousness, it won't produce what you want. It can't really produce it without the consciousness. So it must be a sacred practice in order for it to work. And there are some mindless rituals that, like I said, we can get into that kind of right out of the gate, because I had definitely thought about that when you recommended we just kind of continue this here today and bring it to a much wider audience in our True Love Movement Tuesday audience. Shout out to our Facebook Live audience that's still with us here during the break. Let's see what they got there.
Yeah, we're getting ready to have some callers. If you want to call into the solution line, if you're able to, it's 504-260-9265. That again, 504-260-9265. And I'm excited that Brother Shaq's book, we're almost back on, Resolving Rape Culture, is coming soon.
Soon come. Are you getting anything out of those headphones?
I haven't tried. Shout out to our engineer, Jazz.
No.
For your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
There we go.
BOK, 12:30 a.m. The People's Station.
There we go. We can feel it. All right. Welcome back, family, to True Love Movement Tuesdays here on WBOK 12:30 a.m. Real Talk for Real Time. Brother Shaq.
And Mama Fiyah.
And we are live, family, live and in stereo. We got that sound kicking inside the studio now, thanks to our good brother Jazz on the other side of the glass. And thanks to you all for hanging in there with us on this nice and cool and breezy in New Orleans, January 21st, 2020, with a nice breeze. And shout out to all of our listeners here. You know, you can catch us on the web at www.wbok1230am.com, as well as the WBOK 1230 AM app available in Google Play as well as the App Store. And, of course, 1230 on your AM dial, which many of you are doing that right now on the ride home from school, picking up the young people, going from work, transporting folk about to and fro. You know, we got folks listening all over, Mama Fiyah, all over the world at this point, you know, thanks to technology. So we're grateful for that. And we're grateful for today's topic because we've been getting it in for this last hour. If you're just joining us, today's topic is we're looking at how rituals get things done. Rituals, how to get things done through rituals. And the first half was very, very rich. And if you're just joining us, you can log into the Facebook Live and go back and kind of catch that first half. And for our listeners and everybody who's been with us from the beginning, we invited you all to call in or log in some of your rituals, as we had established that rituals are, in fact, we use those to get things done. We use rituals as solutions. And, during the break, I think Mama Fiyah, the break sometimes is as good as the rest of the show.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
During the break, we were talking about some things that we wanted to explore more here on the other side as we move to talking about rituals even more as solutions. But Mama Fiyah had mentioned about, clarifying that we were talking about not mindless rituals. And so what would you say is a mindless kind of ritual, Mama Fiyah?
Just doing, I don't know if I could give an example, but just doing it just because that's what you do. Like, I don't know, I hate to say this, but at church, genuflecting or, going up the aisle to do, a lady said, taking the communion or whatever. People have lost the sacredness of what that's supposed to be. Yeah. And they just go up there and just do it mindlessly because that's just what you do. There's no power in that. There's no magic in that. And I don't want, and I'm saying you could go to church with the understanding that you're taking into the blood of Christ and all this other stuff and really be a part of that ritual. But how many people do that every single Sunday when they're, and this is Catholicism I'm talking about, but, and actually, internalize what is the point of the ritual is, I think you can do any ritual mindlessly.
That's
and just say, well, I just need to get this done.
That's right.
Kind of thing, and not really understand and internalize what it is you're supposed to be holding sacred.
Very good example of a mindless ritual. But I was also thinking about something that's coming up close, and that we did a show many years ago. I gotta find that show because it's only on audio, but we talked about the partying and the BS.
You sure did. I'm ready for that show.
You remember that?
Yeah,
and
for Mardi Gras.
For Mardi Gras, we did a really thorough dive into the origins of Mardi Gras and Valentine's Day and the connection between the two. And we were looking for our people, and we found them. We did find them, but they was definitely on the outside of that. It had absolutely nothing to do with us. And but the power of that ritual and everything that surrounds that particular ritual of carnival is so powerful. I mean, it's tremendously powerful because of all of the people who are engaging in it simultaneously. That's what makes the ritual powerful. The group psychology of the ritual is what makes it powerful. And I'm pointing that out because as folk who hadn't really participated in those things, we were still jammed up with everybody who was. We couldn't get away. We were trying to go places and we couldn't because of traffic. Matter of fact, we weren't able to get on the air because of traffic. The station wasn't operating because of all the people who were participating in the ritual. And I'm glad that we're talking about ritual and talking about it in that way, even beyond the church, but in the group psychology way, because it's, holidays or holy days are examples of rituals, from the specific events contained in those to all of the things leading up to that, whether we're talking about the commercialism and the spending and the gathering of all of the toys and tools and party favors, or if we're talking about a Saints game, that's a ritual. Right?
We talked about them last week, Brother Shake.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just saying that the idea of ritual isn't foreign, but what we can learn from rituals, whether we are partaking or not, is the reach the actual reach of the power of those rituals. And what really kind of, bolsters them is the fact that it's the group. That it is the group. Because when you're able to get, as to borrow a line or a phrase that's familiar to our church folk who may be listening or watching, when we're all on one accord, you know what I'm saying? That whole idea of being on one accord is the gathered power of ritual. And when that happens, it does really shift reality. Because when you think about how the streets we've traveled down just today, how in a few weeks during carnival time, those streets will transform and cars won't even be on those streets. Those same streets will be occupied by foot traffic, and everyone will go along with that, and everyone will partake in that, and everyone will accept that, and everyone will drive and park elsewhere, and it'll just be the thing that we do, and it'll be completely, as you described, mindless.
Yeah.
But we will do that in unison, and we do that traditionally. So we do rituals traditionally, and we don't necessarily think about them, but when it's done in a group that way, you don't even have to be conscious about it for it to have power.
That's true.
You can just show up and play along and do what everybody else is doing, and the energy will be absorbed and concentrated. So it's really a magical thing. You got the wine, the rituals do their thing with the group.
And individually. But yeah, the group is very powerful because all these individuals together come together, with this in mind.
That's right.
Yeah. So we said that we would talk about rituals as solutions
Definitely.
to our challenges as a people. So I'm interested in that part.
Well, you and I'm sure all of our listeners and viewers as well want to dig more into that, and it's a good segue because I think we're getting into that about one of the things that happened yesterday. We everyone was talking about, and we know that it's not at all complete, but the whole the dream thing, the Dr. Martin Luther King, the dream, and I really hate how they've done that. I hate how they've taken that little sound bite and projected that onto the civil rights movement and all of that other stuff.
And one of his speeches, only one.
Just one.
Yeah.
In the context that they use it in isn't even the full speech. I mean, it isn't even the energy behind what he was saying, but that's the power, the manipulating power of media. And then to do it again and again and again every year is the ritual.
So it's just boiled down to just a dream.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest dream that people tend to have that connects to that I have, quote unquote, I have a dream speech is the dream of working together. Is the together part, is the gathered power of all these individuals. I remember yesterday folks were saying something that I understood what they were saying and why they were saying it, but they were saying that it's not about you, it's about everybody, or it's about the collective. And that was a pretty consistent thought.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You want to say something?
No, I mean, we talk about it all the time.
Right.
About the collective is made up of individuals.
Correct.
The unity is made of units.
The unit, yes.
Yeah, the unit.
And so there is a grave danger, and I think that is the right choice of words, in the thought that it's not about you, but rather it's about the group. And I will say this, I think many times when that is said, though it may be said with good intentions, Mama Fiyah, I think that rhetoric is disingenuous.
Yes.
I think it's really disingenuous because it suggests that I'm nothing and I'm nobody, and you're nothing and you're nobody. But hey,
we're going to come together.
We need to come together, and then we're going to be something. Now, that doesn't work anywhere on the planet. Now, of course, it's not true that we're nobodies, but I think this idea of selflessness is a major impediment because, again, it's altruist, but not authentic. People are very much so doing what they do for themselves in some kind of a way, and there ain't no judgment on that. I mean, it all begins with the self. How could you not have a self-interest? How could you not? How could you not seek to serve and satisfy your self-interest? That is a normal human thing to do. I mean, some of the things in terms of the rhetoric, Mama Fiyah, to me sounds so foolish as to say that, listen, it's not about me, so I'm going to go out, I'm going to work, I'm going to make money, I'm going to buy food, and I'm going to feed everybody, and I'm never going to eat. Because it's not about me, it's about everybody. And I need to go feed everybody. I'm not eating, ever.
Yeah.
That could never happen, but it sounds ridiculous to that level. But even if I said something like that to someone who was saying that, they would say, well, no, I ain't talking about that. Right. But what's the difference? How do you differentiate? You know what I'm saying? So the idea of, in terms of solutions, is that we do our individual work. That we do our individual ritual work to be clearer about who we are and who we are in this thing. In the process of that, we learn what we came here to do.
Yeah, and that collective versus individual versus collective thing. You know, if we all shifted to Ubuntu.
Yes.
You know, I am. No, that statement is right. I am is a very powerful statement.
Ooh.
Yeah, you know, and then because we are. We are, like, it shines a light on the individual and the community. That's right. The individual and the community. That's what's important. That I'm okay and that we are all okay.
That's
that
right.
We, you know, or I'm striving toward goodness and wellness, and we are all striving. You know, that's what Ubuntu, you know, can inspire us to do.
That is definitely, you know, and I know we've done shows. We've done a show on that, but we kind of, that principle comes up a lot for us. It
does. And so these rituals, Brother Shaq, and the collective and the individual, because you talked about group rituals like Mardi Gras, or, you know, parade going, or, you know, celebrating Mardi Gras in the way that New Orleans does. But then individual rituals, like my morning ritual in the morning and your ritual of meeting your ancestors at the altar. You know, they're all of equal importance.
That's right.
You know, and maybe if we understood rituals for ourselves and in our own, you know, individual capacity, then we'd understand them as a community, that we can create them.
That's right.
That we don't have to do, you called it an ancient technology, but we don't have to do what we were taught either.
That's right.
We can do what resonates with us. We can do what we want to, you know, create what we want to see.
That's right.
You know, and there's a lot of power in that. And so solutions.
Yeah. So as we are moving through solutions, I think that is the base of it, is what you just described as creating your own.
Yeah.
The creation of your own ritual. But in order to create the ritual, you have to be clear about what the goal is.
Yes.
Because the rituals are vehicles to the goal. And our ancestors who created these rituals, they were very sure about what they were trying to do. They were very, very sure about what they were trying to do. And I think something in the whole dynamic of satisfying ourselves, or quote unquote solving problems, or filling needs, or addressing lack, is that there's a lot of cloudiness and confusion about or around what's already there. You know, I mean, people start. Most of the things that I hear, I even had a conversation today. A brother called me with some ideas that he had, and they were not new ideas, but I'm kind of tuned into that more so, I guess, this year. We begin with, you know, what we're missing. We begin with what we need, and we don't acknowledge what we have.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying acknowledging what we have just from the energetic standpoint of gratitude. I'm saying from a very practical standpoint, because, you know, for anybody who is listening, who's ever put something together, assembled something, or you know, our brothers or sisters who are listening, who are mechanics, people who work on cars, people like Mark who build things, and craftsmen and women, and that kind of thing, creatives who assemble things, you know, and we're all those things. All of us are all of those things, but some folks are very, very much engaged in that. And I'm saying that, I'm bringing that up and lifting those folks up, because think about how many times that you do something regularly from the standpoint of a routine, something maybe you do often or frequently, and maybe you have all your tools, but you don't always put them all up where they go. I know I'm very guilty of that, because sometimes I'm so flustered and so pressed to try to solve the problem because of the immediacy of it. I do go grab the thing that I need to fix it, and I'm able to fix it, and I'm so glad I fixed it. I just dropped what I used to fix it, and I go head on because I've solved that problem, and it felt really good to do that. But then the next time I need to do something similar, I cannot locate the tool that I had. I can't find it. I can't find it anywhere. And so what I end up doing is saying, you know what I need? I need another one. Maybe I need 2 of them. And then I'll go buy it. I'll go buy it that time when I needed it, and then I'll fix the thing. And then ultimately down the line, I'll find the other, and then I'll have 5 or 6 of them. Because I do that ritualistically every single time. And then over time, I also lose all of them because I think, well, it ain't no big deal. I don't have to put it back because I got plenty of them now. And it's so wasteful, and there ain't no gratitude in that. And many of us do that with many of the problems that we work on. We approach it like we're focusing on, man, I need, instead of being very, very clear about what we already have. It's because we're not organized with our stuff, because we only value the thing when we need it.
Gotcha. And when you said that, when you said about, not being so much about gratitude, I think you just injected gratitude in there, but I understand what you're saying about what we have. And
right.
So, there's nothing that disorganizes us than thinking we don't have anything.
Right.
that thinking we don't have anything, and just sitting and thinking about, what do I have? Thinking about ourselves. What do I have as far as, for myself and as a resource,
right.
to myself and to others. But then what do we have? What do we have as a people as far as resources are concerned? And then, this is directly related to gratitude to me, because we as a people are stuck in a place that says we don't have anything, that we are nothing,
right.
that we are the worst. We are, all our people are so this, that, and the third, and we use the N word for our people. Them N words,
right.
and them type of N words, and we are the bane to our own existence, which is a problem. Right. It's a huge problem into being able to see ourselves well, see ourselves self-sufficient, see ourselves independent in doing for self.
That's
that
right.
blocks your vision, that blocks the future of us. That blocks it, just that that thought that we don't have anything, that our people don't have anything. Yep. We have no resources, we have no way of getting anything. That blocks us, period. And so, when I'm talking to my sisters and they're stuck in depression, which our people suffer from so much oppression, depression, and it gets on our children, y'all, and it's just passed from generation to generation to generation. And what I tell my sisters that are deeply in sadness and deeply in depression is, count your blessings, sis. Yeah. Count your blessings. And this is not me being religious. No. This is not just a ritual of saying those things that we say to people. I'm going to be praying for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All these different things that we tell people. I tell them, count them, name them one by one. How that song go. Because that'll make you realize that you do have something.
Yes.
That you do have something. You here with me, and you are breathing with me, and you are able to articulate what your sadness is, and you yes, you might be broke as far as financially, but you do have shoes on your feet, and right. I mean to the minutia.
That's right.
So what kind of blessings you have, and I just want everybody to know this is not about religion or spirituality right now. This is about remembering that you do have something.
That's right.
You do have something. You are able to do something because you're here. Mm-hmm. Because you are here. There are people, here I go preaching.
Go ahead on.
There are people who didn't wake up this morning.
Tell them again, pal. Because because they're not listening, because they're not here this
Amen
morning.
and
Amen.
amen.
Amen. That's right.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, taking it from, one level to another, it's all just one thing.
Yep.
Is remembering who you are.
That's right.
And remembering what you have, what you do have. And not letting what you need drive you into, into things that don't suit us.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, you did good. Good and plenty, as they say.
Yeah.
Because you interjected the spiritual aspect, which we can't ignore, because if you're a melanated individual, everything you do is spiritual.
You got spirit, baby. You got soul.
Everything you do is spiritual.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go with what you were saying and add in there that it's practical. What you're talking about. What you're talking about is practical, because if you're not...
practical solution.
It's a practical solution, because if you're not aware, and I want people to really listen to this part of what I'm saying, if nothing else, if you're not aware, and I mean in great detail aware of what you have, in all that you have no idea what you need.
Yes.
You can't know what you need if you don't know what you have. So you have to do that part of it first. You have to take the inventory of what it is that you have first. So in moving with solutions and practicality, what we're saying is, once you've established that individual personal goal, that if you're looking through a wide enough lens, is directly connected to the collective. In other words, your place in it. Once you've established that, the next thing that you have to do is you have to really spend the time alone, presumably, with yourself to determine what you already have, so that you really know where you're working from. Yet you can't sidestep that. And you can't assume you need this or you need that, because in my example earlier, there have been many times when I thought I needed something. I'm talking about something on a physical level or something else, and I had it. Like, I actually had it. I went out and bought it, and I had it. But because I didn't know where it was at, it was like I didn't have it. So if you're not organized, whatever you do have can't serve you. It can't do you any good. And the reason why I'm spending time, as we're talking about solutions, Mama Fiyah, stressing that, is because until you are doing it in this way, you ain't got no business going out there being with the collective, because you're going to mess up. You're going to mess up the collective, because whatever you do with the collective is simply a projection in a mirror of what you do as an individual. So that's why I was said earlier that there's something disingenuous, I hear, or insincere, rather, about this. It's not about me, it's about the collective, because you can't do nothing with and for the collective if you ain't clear about what it is you do. You can't. What are you supposed to be doing with the collective? Huh? I mean, what are you supposed to be doing if you don't know? How could you be so tuned into the collective but you don't know what you're doing? So I think that we should be truthful with ourselves to say, well, what is that really about? And we've we've said for some time, in terms of an assessment on that, is some folk, because they don't feel powerful or feel like they're contributors or that their things matter, they wish to be a part of the collective, but they want to hide in the collective.
Yeah, I noticed when you said that yesterday, there were some reactions, but it got kind of blown over.
Yeah.
Because that could have just been, the talk. And I think so many parts of what you said yesterday could have been the talk of that day, which goes to show True Love Movement has a complete wealth of information for our community that we can, discuss or have a conversation.
That's right.
But yeah, that say that one more time, Brother Shay.
About the views on the collective and this rhetoric, and I'm going to call it rhetoric because I don't think that it's thoroughly thought out, but I know it's said and it's heard and it sounds nice and it doesn't sound off-putting, but the thought that what everything is all about is just all about the people, and it's not about me. It's though somehow I'm not the people, and that there's this disconnect or this separation between the collective and the individual, and that our collective efforts should be concentrated and focused on the collective, and we shouldn't pay no mind to the individual. And I'm saying that when I hear that, whether it's intended or not, or whether it's in practice or not, that's saying that, yes, I want to be a part of the collective, which you already are, but I kind of want to hide in the collective. I don't really want to do anything in the collective in terms of a responsibility. I don't want to have any responsibility in the collective.
Yeah.
But I want to shine with the collective, or I want to win with the collective, or whatever, however people choose to whatever affirming language is out there, sentiment-wise. But not me, I don't want to really do anything.
Right. You want to hide in it.
I want to hide in the collective.
You know, I think about all of the different organizing, you know, or organizations who are doing work together, and you know, they can be very, very powerful. But what has changed since we've had all of these different programs and organizations?
That's right.
And let me say, yes, we have seen some change. I'm not saying that.
That's right.
You know, I'm not belittling and making small the work that people do together, but only if you've done the individual work.
That's right.
Because if not, you go into a collective and destroy it.
That's right.
You go into a collective and say, oh, that person ain't this and that.
Right.
You know, you're not well enough to even work with people.
Yes.
You're not, you know, and so I've seen so many people hide in the collective, you know, and because they want to do something, but they don't know what to do, and so they just want to kind of be led, but also, you know, like you said, get the shine on from the collective. And let me say this, that get yourself together first.
Right.
Completely and totally do the work, you know, so you can feel powerful. So when you get with a bunch of powerful people, powerful stuff happens.
Right.
You know, and yeah, so there's nothing as beautiful as community rituals or collective rituals when they happen together. And I'm talking about the ones that really matter. You know, the
Right.
ones that aren't mindless and you know, really spiritful, you know what I'm saying? Or mindful, you know,
Right.
these type of things as a collective that we do together. There's nothing as powerful as when people come together and say, we're going to do this and this and this together and create something. And sometimes it's just an energy or a vibration.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if anybody who is listening or who's watching doesn't fully embrace and accept what you're saying is fact and truth and even law, all they need to do is look at Mardi Gras. Look at Carnival. For example, just because it's here on us.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at how all of the individuals come together and make that a thing that draws people from all over the world. Because individual people come together on one accord to do this thing. And as a result, everybody in the city makes money except black people. How powerful is that, Mama Fiyah? Huh?
Sound like all the rest of the rituals that they took from us and created them against us.
How powerful is that? Everybody makes money off Mardi Gras except black people. And we do it so hard, right? You know, we talked about that during that show. Yeah, all of that, like we put perhaps some of the greatest and most effective energy on it, but yet cannot profit in the ways that others do. That is profound, Mama Fiyah, particularly when we're talking about how groups of people do things, because you know we thinking like community, and some people I don't deal with in the community. I don't like so and so. I can't work with so and so, and that's why we can't. You know, like we do all of that. But this is not about that. This is saying that when you are clear as an individual, you can be very, very effective with the collective.
With all, that's right.
But until you can, You might be disorganizing the collective. You may be the problem or among those who are problematic to the collective because of not doing the individual thing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, Brother Shay.
In terms of like solutions? Because this ain't a preaching thing. This is just saying in a very practical sense that your participation in a group ritual can't be nearly as potent if you've not done your own ritual and you don't understand the science and the sacredness of ritual and the process, not just by creating and developing the ritual, but being gifted the goal, being gifted the goal. Like, we're not just talking about anything random, like you, and when you tell the story, and you tell it best, about how you were gifted True Love Movement.
Yeah, yep.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's an example, though.
Yes,
Like,
it
you were gifted truth. So there was a goal, and then you worked to make that real in the physical realm.
And it was only me for a while, and when I was led to bring in someone, it was Brother Shay.
Right.
And have been bringing people in and magnetizing people in from that point on. But it had to start with an understanding of myself first,
right.
And what it would take to create a collective of people who understand True Love Movement and understand the movement. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And shout out to organizations that are really trying to do powerful work in the communities. And I would say always have time for individual work for everybody, like ask a question or something, like as part of your meetings, because meetings are rituals too.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That hone in on the individual as well, on the individual person, individual rituals, individual goals, because being a good leader always includes a reminder that we need to be doing self-work as well.
I think we need to. I like that. I mean, I know I'm part of some organizations and have been part of some organizations that do that and practice that. But I think we should maybe spend more time, maybe throughout the year on looking at individuals in that way. Because there is some kind of a thing that, people don't like to talk about themselves, or they don't like to acknowledge, the things that they're doing, the positive things that they're doing. They don't like to, toot their own horn or whatever the case is. But in not looking at you, it makes it impossible for you to see other people. For real. Yeah, definitely. As a matter of fact, it's been my experience in with some of the brothers that I work with, also acknowledge this, is that when you're trying to be that, we talk about the good man syndrome, but when you're trying to be that good man and you're just focused on uplifting everyone and being all things to all people and all that other stuff, and then no one's acknowledging you, what's happening is you becoming a little bit bitter about that. You wanna get some shine, but you don't say that, so you be some
you
passive.
Talking to me though.
Be some passive aggressive kind of stuff happening, which then it's not a criticism on the person who's experiencing it, but it derails their initial attempts to do good, because they've got this, well, I'm lifting everyone up and no one's lifting me up, and it's the right thing to do because it really ain't about me, it's all about the people. And that's why I say, when I hear that, I think,
it's some BS.
That's a little bit disingenuous.
Yes, you're right. You are speaking to me right now, and I just said today earlier how, I'm learning so much about myself every day, and I've said that before, and that the lessons that I'm learning are difficult. They're difficult. They're not like, oh, I'm like this, it's like, dang, I'm like this, whoa, you know what I'm saying? And it gets deeper and deeper and deeper all the time, that it's not just flighty like, oh, I can definitely be mean or something like that. No, this is deeper, much deeper. Yeah. So you speaking to me, Brother Shaq, about that, and I think I've put it under the guise of, I don't care what people think.
Right.
That's easier. it's really easier just to go barrel through the world, not caring what people think. But if you still do this,
right,
there's a game being played right there.
That's
that you
right.
just care, about those things. So thank you for that on personal tip with me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, whenever you got the two finger stone ring, it's always some stuff that.
Shout out to my son Jua,
Yeah.
who is a beautiful copper and crystal jewelry creator. Jewelry creator.
Yep.
Yeah, so I feel really powerful when I have this 2-finger ring on. It's
Yeah.
actually end up being a 3-finger.
A 3-finger
so,
ring.
Yeah, shout out to him.
That's a creative genius brother right there, man. And again, shouting out people is important.
Yeah, cite the power.
Citing the power. But if we'll do that incrementally and truthfully and authentically as part of our ritual, because we are talking about solutions, what we're essentially inviting is more of that. We're inviting not just for it to be for us, but we're creating a culture of that.
Yes, for all of us.
We're creating a culture so it doesn't sound strange or odd when someone's being lifted up.
Yeah.
And therefore, it doesn't sound strange or odd when someone is lifting themselves up, because there's nothing odd about that. And when you work that into a ritual, and people do that in a very normal or normative way, because that is the culture, you produce affirmations. Because, like you talked about Jua doing that, like when people, particularly children, when they hear that you're proud of them or you're happy with what they did, they're inspired to do more of that because they like that feeling. Because it connects with their heart, it connects with their intentions, and that's not unique to children. That has nothing to do with age. That is a spirit thing. That's a spiritual connection. That's what we're talking about. So in the form of rituals, you can set aside time and really make that important, because people need to reorient themselves back to the I. I mean, you can't say I am if you ain't really oriented to the I.
That's right, if you don't know what the I is.
And you can't do nothing with the we because you feel lack because of the I. Well, ain't really no I, but you want me to be all about we.
Right.
But that's what you said you wanted to do.
But that's part of the problem that we've always had as a people. That's why even the civil rights movement, yes, it moved the needle on some things, but we're still in the mind state. The mind state is what we need to move the needle on, so that everything follows up with that.
That's right.
Everything follows behind, getting our minds right.
That's right.
Getting our minds right and orienting ourselves to our power and navigating to free.
That's right.
And what True Love Movement does is just talk about something different than what we've always talked about.
Sure.
We've always just talked about the same old thing. Look how they doing us, y'all. And all these N-words, and then, people need to vote and da-da-da-da. When has that rhetoric changed? When has that narrative changed? True Love Movement is saying, let's do it the other way around. Let's start with the I, and then create the we that we want to see and that we want to be, and a we that is powerful, and a we that, and Brother Shaq, you're saying this is that this can be done through rituals.
I'm saying this can absolutely be done through rituals, because I know I do it. I've done it. I've participated. I've encouraged people. I've seen people design rituals to take care of these kinds of problems. I wanted to shout out to our brother Anthony King has joined us. Latoya Robinson Golar has also joined us.
All right.
And everybody in the Facebook Live, and folks who are sharing this show around the world with people that they respect. And of course, to all of our listeners, whether you're in the car driving home from your commute to work, or picking up children, or getting people where they got to go. This January 21st, nice breezy day here, dear. January 21st, nice breezy day here in New Orleans, 2020. True Love Movement Tuesday. The topic is rituals. the solution to getting things done, how we get things done.
How we get things done. Shout out to WBOK 12:30 a.m.
That's right.
For having the bravery to host such a show such as True Love Movement Tuesdays with Brother Shaq and Mama Fiyah. So we're going to give you the solution line number, 504-260-9265. We want to encourage first-time callers to call on in. We want you to call in the solution line, 504-260-9265. We're excited to just talk about rituals. Who does that? Who talks about rituals in a way that is an intellectual, and so that we can understand them and understand that you do them all the time.
That's right.
But what's your goal and how is it sacred?
That's right.
Yeah.
And I would like to also add to the conversation as we're moving in line with all the solutions and when you're applying these rituals, there's something you got to do. Like it is personal. Like even your participation in group rituals is still personal. Mm-hmm. So there's no way to be in it and not be in it and expect it to work. Because what happens is these rituals, we just hinted on earlier, the very beginning, we just hinted on earlier about how, rituals can change. And that we don't have to do rituals that we did before and other people's rituals and that kind of thing. Like rituals, I said it, they wear a groove. Mm-hmm. And through the course of expansion, you may no longer need that. I mean, once you have shifted and expanded and changed your reality in such a way, that ritual may no longer serve you. So there's no reason to continue to do the ritual. And see, I think that's what you were kind of alluding to when you talked about some of the rituals that people participate in, that their heart isn't in, mm-hmm. that they don't really believe it, or they don't really think it. They just do it because other people are doing it. They're doing it because that's what they know how to do. And they're doing all of that. And those are the same people that say, we need this, we need that, we need that, we need that. We all need to come together. Those are the people who do that. Because they're participating in a ritual that has outlived its use, has become meaningless, but yet they're still doing it because now they're in a routine. Mm-hmm. And they're not able to affect their reality in a positive way, in a way that they really, really need it. So then they look outside themselves. See, that's what we're talking about this, because we're mapping out how the behavior, how it happens. That there's an individual and a group psychology around what we perceive to be deficits, but we don't know what we already have. We don't spend any time really on what we already have. We just approach it from all the things that we think we need. And if we would be clearer about our inventory and what we already have, we wouldn't say that we needed so much. We wouldn't be looking outside of ourselves for so much. We wouldn't be asking people for so much. We wouldn't be saying stuff like, it's not about me, it's about the people. Because that ain't even real. We wouldn't be doing that if we were clearer about our own power and our own ability to affect change and bring about the things that we want to see.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Brother Shaq. Thank you for bringing this to the forefront. Thank you for bringing it to Mississippi when you did,
right,
because what you did was planted a seed that I'm sure people will start recognizing their own rituals, mm-hmm. and putting sacredness in the place of just mindlessness. That yeah. I do this. I wake up every morning and I have my little coffee, right. kind of thing. That they'll really see the power of the rituals that they have, or mm-hmm. create them to be more powerful.
That's right.
And then this was a group of elders who definitely were firmly rooted in the church,
yes.
as well. And knowing, one of the elders talked about the church and how the church has not worked for our people, but he obviously was a religious man,
right.
but that it had not worked for our people. So how do we make them work?
Mm-hmm.
How do we make, they're already established, right? This is one
That's
of the
right.
resources
That's
that
right.
we have as a people. So how do we make them work?
That's right.
What do we need to do? What kind of conversations do we need to have? What kind of action do we need to put in place to make what we have work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I heard it when the brother said it, though. I mean,
yeah.
I heard that, what you were saying, and
yeah.
I heard the solution to that.
Yeah.
Because that ends up being the other way the discourse goes. We talk about how the church, for example, in his in his explanation, isn't what it used to be, doesn't do what it used to do, doesn't, sir, he also talked about, politicians and those kinds of things. But what we can do with that, with him pointing that out, is really analyze why it is we have so much confidence and faith in that which is outside of ourselves to solve our problems, and then we're disappointed when it doesn't do it,
right?
And we don't see us. Why do we invisibilize ourselves in our own processes and hand it over to those outside of us, and then say that they're not doing it? Of course they're not doing it, because it isn't theirs, it's yours. So we're not able, it's not practical for that to happen like that. So the individuals that are a part of the organization still have to be clear about who they are in everything before they're able to activate inside the organization in a way that can bring about individual and collective goals. That's the only way that ritual can really, really work. You've got to know what you already have before you devise or create a particular ritual to bring forth that which you want. That's 2020 vision, right? That's 2020
right.
vision.
That keeps it all the way clear. And I had actually wrote that down. We have all we need, period. Create your own rituals, period. No one is here to save you but you.
That's right.
No one here to save you but you. And who's here to save us, my family?
That's right.
Yes, us.
Us. It's just
us.
Just us.
That's
man.
right.
So, right on, Mama Fiyah.
Right on. All right, so I just want to shout out some things that's happening with True Love Movement. And Brother Shaq, shout out to you and Mark Williams, because y'all working very hard on the front cover of Resolving Rape Culture.
Oh, yes.
The book is coming extremely soon, and I'm excited to say that. You want to talk any more about Resolving Rape Culture?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we got a little time.
It's on the way. I want to talk a little bit about it, but I'd also like to hear some of your thoughts on some things thus far, because you in very specifically was the inspiration behind the work. The work of that whole body of work. And I want to make sure that that's understood, that wasn't some random idea, and that it went through a serious process before it became, a book. Like, this needs to be a book. And that there's, there were all kinds of things that happened over the course of the, 5 or 6 years, I don't even know how long anymore, that it actually took to produce an actual thing. And I dare say, on this particular show, as we're talking about, rituals, how to get things done, I didn't really have much of a ritual about it. As I think back about the actually producing the work, it was a little more haphazard, and I think, of course things happened the way that they're supposed to happen, but it wasn't until I got clearer about what I was really doing that the momentum for the work to become a physical product happened. And so I'm sharing that because, you said I spoke to you earlier with something. I spoke to myself too. Yeah. Like to say, oh, so that's why that I can use, ritual applies to that too, meaning when you have an intention or a goal that's that important to you, being able to, again, organize your thoughts and your feelings in such a way that you can focus and concentrate and give it the energy it needs to nurture itself properly, to develop into something. And I did that in a very sporadic kind of way. So I was inspired, and then I wasn't inspired. And then I was like, well, yeah, I need to get back. I need to finish. And so, I mean, that's
why it took so long.
That's why it took so long. So
the ritual was you finding yourself. You finding your real understanding of this thing that had been introduced by our own interactions around it.
Right.
You had to find yourself. You had to find your voice in it to teach, because, man, let me tell you, it is so brave. What you're saying is so brave as a man, because the men have a code. Men have a code that they stand by, and they know, like, you don't do that. You don't do that. You don't say that. You know. And Brother Shaq, you breaking all those rules.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Well, those rules are not even our rules. That's some foolishness that has been projected onto us that has nothing really to do with us, and even that kind of that thought process has been a major impediment in us healing as black folks, as melanated people, as us healing as so-called black men and black women and black children. Like, that's been a major impediment, this fictitious thing that we don't talk about or say we're doing, but that we definitely clearly do, and all of the effects of it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's time to throw all that, smash all of that, if we're serious about healing. And then, so that's where the challenge comes in.
Yes.
Do we like to stay sick?
Yeah.
Do we like to stay sick?
I do believe, because what you're sending, what you're bringing as a teaching tool for our people and our brothers especially, we want to stay in. I think they want to stay in power. They want to stay over someone, and not realizing that the way we, part of the way we relieve ourselves from this that we're under is by acknowledging and honoring and respecting the black woman.
That is correct.
That is the way. That's the way. And that, they may not want unity for real if you have to do that.
Right.
If you have to, honor black women with the most dishonored.
That's right.
And you make it so simple. You make it so plain, that you cannot not see this,
Right.
And so when the time comes, it's an offering that True Love Movement is bringing into the planet, to the world, and on Brother Shaq's, sacrifice. You sacrificed a lot to not only write this, organize it in such a wise way, but they're gonna be some men, I'm sure, that says, oh, no, you broke the man code when you said that, Brother Shaq. It's time to let the man code go.
Sure.
It's time for the woman code, the man code. All the codes don't work.
Yeah.
The codes don't work anymore. So it's time to create new things that do work. New rituals that work.
Right.
Work to get us where we want to be, where we all want to be. I think about my brothers and sisters who, sit on the porch all day and, maybe have oppression, depression, and some other things. They want it too.
Everybody.
They want it too. They're tired of it. They're sick and tired of the same things. And so it's time to do something completely different. And Brother Shaq, resolving rape culture is a solution to that.
That's right.
It is a solution to that. And it's going to go so far. It's going far.
Definitely.
So... people are already interested. They're like, did the book come out?
Right, that's right.
So,
pre-orders and all kind of other stuff.
Yeah,
man.
want to pre-order these type of things and spread it around, pass it around, because it's not so much about Brother Shaq making a sacrifice and wanting money because of it, but passing around the understanding of it. And I find for people who do not read. Because there are some people who do not enjoy reading for whatever reason. It's not up to us to say, oh, you ignorant. You need to pick up a book. No. Not everybody can read or like to read.
Right.
Not everybody is connected to the English language in that way. They don't like to read. Read it to them.
That's right.
Read it to them. Open it up, highlight some pages, read some, and Brother Shaq, of course, is doing an audio book that's coming with it.
That's right.
And maybe a movie. You heard me? We're going to get this thing done.
Well, it's a healing body of work. I mean, I think that's the other part that should be clear, that it's totally in alignment with all of the work that True Love Movement does. This is a healing body of work, and regardless of how someone may view the material, that is the energy around it. However someone views it, it just says everything about them, nothing at all about the material, because the material is just the material.
It's the material, and it's undeniable. It is undeniable. You cannot deny it, because the proof is just right there. So it's a good book, Brother Shaq. Can't wait to put my stamp on it and be like, it's ready. We're working on it.
I'm excited about it. and it feels good to have gotten it to that point. And and it really did get that way through ritual. There was a lot of things that I had to look at about myself. Like, this is me.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like this. I started wanting to say, well, nah, this is them, but this is me. This is like all me, but not only me. And so that's kind of where what makes it relatable, because it's not this isolated thing that's about other people or just some people. This is a part of how it is impacted all people. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to be able to bring that bring that to all of our people
Yes.
as medicine.
Oh, I love it.
You know what I'm saying?
I love
As
it.
medicine.
And before we get off the air, super shout out to Late Bloomer.
That's right.
She was late, but also right on time.
That's right.
And don't forget to stream and download Late Bloomer. I've decided that I am going to do some physical copies.
You're going to do some physical? We're going to do some 8-tracks?
Yes. Because the older people like, man, stream, what that means?
What a
like,
stream
what?
is. I
What I
gotta
got
go
to
out to
do?
a stream?
I got to do this here, and then what? And they're like, well, where can I just buy a copy?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Old
so
school.
we're going to definitely do some physical copies of the CDs, and maybe just a few.
Just a few.
So they'll be collector's items.
That's right.
And they'll go right along with the first album. But I'm excited about it, Brother Shaq. I'm excited about the album. I'm excited about my sisters who have been like, my favorite is Element.
Right.
And my favorite is Ocean, you know. So
that's my favorite right now.
I know, of course. That one's for you. Shout out to the black man on Ocean. Shout out to Brother Shaq. And Brother Shaq, you got a little something.
I sure do have a
popping
little
on
bit. I got a
it,
little small track on there myself about you. So yeah. Y'all need to get that, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so
It's
proud
out.
of you.
Oh Lord.
Blooming.
It's out. I'm
Blooming.
ready for it to be out.
That's
and
right.
it's out, and now it's ready for the third album coming up soon.
There's more.
I can't
family.
stop.
There's more, and there's so much more for you. We want to thank you for listening and joining us here on True Love Movement Tuesdays here with Brother Shaq.
And Mama Fiyah.
Wholeness.
Wholeness.
Right, Facebook Live family. Mama Fiyah already got it.
I got
Poised
it up.
up.
I'm ready.
She
I'm
got
ready.
the fist.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for joining us.